when it comes down to it, the most important part of anyone's stream is the audio. And there are a couple of popular XLR audio interfaces out there, but the one that comes to mind when you think audio devices and streaming is the Go XLR Mini. And I'm going to go through a few different categories to show you why this is such a good device for streaming. But is it worth the cost? Yes, it's the smaller version of its bigger brother, if you'd say, but still at $250 USD, it's expensive compared to other audio devices out there. First is ease of use. TC Helicon has taken what was an audio interface device. This has no overbearing. It actually looks nice. It has a RGB feature where if you put this on your desk, it's not something that you're going to hide behind a monitor. When you compare it to the Behringer and the Yamaha audio devices of the old days, this is such a simple looking device, but it has all of the features, minus one, which we'll get to later, and it's a big one, but it has most of those features baked into this little device. So if you're just starting out and you're coming from a USB mic or even a headphone mic and you're going into your first XLR microphone, now, with the initial setup with this device, obviously you're going to plug your microphone in. You're going to plug this into the USB on your computer. It's going to boot up. You have to install the software. So once you get it installed, you open it up. It's going to take you through the process of setting up your microphone. Like choose whether you have the condenser or the dynamic, and then it's going to present you with the box to tune your gain. Now it basically just tells you to talk at a normal speaking voice, and it will make sure that you get your voice in the good part so that you're not too high in clipping or you're not too quiet on your stream. After you get the initial setup completed, you are presented with 4 levels. Now you can choose whether or not you want to show the volumes. As you speak, they will go up and down, or you can have them static and just show the volume that you have them set to. I prefer static. I found the dynamic, adjusting very distracting. I was always looking at all the different things because, let's be honest, it's 4 different inputs and they're always going, especially if you're playing a game, playing music, having chat, and microphone. So they're always going up and down. So I found it very distracting. So I usually just kept it static. With the faders, these are not motorized like the bigger brother version, the full Go XLR. These are just standard slide faders. They're very smooth, and you've got your mute buttons on the bottom, so you can actually mute each input, and you can also choose what is muted when you push this button. So whether you want it just to be muted to your headphones, whether you want it just to be muted to the stream, or you want it to be muted entirely. So that is a good option. You've also got your bleep button. This is fun. It's good times because you can hear the bleep too, so it's a lot of fun to have. So you can either choose to hold and mute, or you can just choose to press mute and press again to unmute. So functionality with this device, just to start off, this is one of the first devices that I knew of that was actually hardware driven, that would split up your audio. So it would create, I believe, 8 different inputs. So you would have your mic, your chat, your music, your system, your game. You have console, if you're plugging a console directly into it. You would have line in, and then you would have samples. Now with the Mini not having the sampler, if you call it, you can use that output for sound effects or anything like that if you wanted to do it, which I did through my Stream Deck. If I wanted to play audio clips of, a toilet flushing or a gunshot or laughter or anything like that, I would play it through the samples, and then you can adjust the audio individually through there. And then it would create 4 outputs. So you would have your line out, you would have your chat mic, and then you would have your headphones. And then what it also is going to create is it's going to create just a stream mix. And then in the software, you actually can go to this routing table and you can choose what audio you want to go to which output. So if you want, your own mic to go to your headphones, which is like you want to hear yourself when you want to monitor yourself, you can do that. You can turn that off. You can choose to send your chat audio only to your your Discord audio only to your headphones. You can choose to send your music only to your stream. But one of the things you can't do is you can't have two different levels, audio levels of each input. So whatever input you set of the audio, it's going to be heard in your headphones and in your stream. The only way to get different audio is if you hit the mute button. If you didn't want to hear music, or if you wanted lower music in your headphones versus the stream, the only way you could technically do that is if you were to hit the mute button and it was programmed to mute the music to your headphones. So if you were in like a final of a BR or anything like that, and you wanted to turn off the audio in your headphones so you could hear every single footstep, then you would just press this button. The music would turn off in your headphones, but they would still be playing in your stream, but there's no ability to just turn it down or have it lower in your headphones and higher on your stream. So they do have a Stream Deck extension, but there's only two options within the extension. It allows you to make a routing table change that you've programmed, so you can't have like an on-the-fly one to make while you're streaming, so you have to have that one set, and then you can enable it or disable it, and or you can make a profile change. So if you're going from, say, just chatting to a game and you have different audio levels, then you can make those changes. Or if you're changing from, say, just chatting to maybe a console or anything like that, you can press one button and it'll change all your levels and whatever you have programmed for that profile, which is nice because then you can change what these 4 physical faders do for the profile, so that if your system and music are more important and you're just chatting, but then console comes and you no longer need game, or you no longer need the voice chat because you're going to use Xbox chat, and you no longer need these free up 2 other ones that you can add samples or you can add something else to them. Now, you can't change, these aren't mini displays like on the Big Brother device, the bigger Go XLR. Now when you change profiles, you can't obviously change the picture on here, so you can't change the visual picture of what input it is, but with the color schemes you can create a color scheme in that way so that you mentally know which one is which and then what profile is enabled, so that if you change your chat one to samples, you can turn that up, or if you change your system now to console, that way you can adjust the audio that way, which you may have your console audio a little lower than your system audio or your alerts. Now, one of the main reasons why I decided to go with the Go XLR Mini was because at the time I was using a 2PC stream, and sending audio over VBAN was just becoming a daily nightmare for me. So with this device, it allows you to send audio through a standard headphone cable into this device, where if in your streaming PC I had this plugged into USB, and then you could have your gaming PC send audio through to your line in, and then you would have your headphones and you would hear it all in your headphones. That was one of the main reasons of why I chose this device, because anything else was, something else you had to learn or something else you had to get used to. This was basically plug and play, set it up in the app, and everything was routed and ready to go. And it just made it very, very easy to do. Now, if you have a single PC and you're using this for your streaming, you want to do music through your phone or say a tablet or anything like that, if you want to take the resources away from your gaming computer. And then also it has the optical port for consoles. So with the Xbox One and PS4, they have the optical port on the back. You can plug them in. Now with this new gen or next gen, with the Xbox Series consoles and the PS5, they no longer have the optical on the back of the device. So to use this with the headphones and the setup, and if you want to control the audio, you need to get a HDMI splitter, which allows you to split the audio from the HDMI cable, and it puts it into an optical cable, which is one of these devices. So it's an HDMI to HDMI audio. What it does is it takes HDMI in and then it sends out HDMI video and then your optical audio. So that allows you to plug this into the Go XLR, and then you can control your audios through the faders in the app. Now, last category is quality. And with this device, you're getting top-notch quality. Faders feel great. Everything is, smooth to the touch. There's no harsh corners, no sharp edges or anything like that. Physically, the device is, a pleasure to look at, pleasure to use. With the preamp, you're actually getting one of the top preamps in the industry. It has no problems powering, even the most difficult devices, including the Shure SM7B. Myself, I didn't use one of those. I had one of the blue mics. I was using the Ember with it, and everything worked fantastic. Even with the standard cable from Amazon, I had no issues for the full 18 months that I used this device. I never once, had to worry about when I started my stream that I was going to have audio issues of any sorts. So one thing I'm going to mention, if you are using two devices, whether that's two PCs or whether you're going to use a PC and a mobile phone or a tablet, anything like that, and you're going to use the line-in function on this device, I would pick up one of these. This is going to take the static out of the line. This one's by Aki. I think it's like 14 bucks. Pretty much you would just put this between the input of the device. So if you're plugging in a second PC or if you're plugging in a phone, you would just connect two headphone cables on each side of this and put this in the middle and then go into the line in, and this will cut the static on the line caused from that second device. Now, obviously with the popularity of this device, it seemed like anybody or everybody had one of these. If they were streaming, this was the device to have if you had an XLR microphone. Now, with all that said, is this device worth its retail price? $250 for an audio device is expensive compared to other products that are, anywhere from 60, 80, 100 up to 150. Is it worth that extra $100 premium to have such a simple device, or do you save the $100 and maybe just learn a little bit and learn how to use a fader system or a Yamaha or the Behringer system? Because when it comes down to it, you're not going to hear the difference between 150 to a 250 to a $400 device through streaming. Everything's condensed, so it's up to you whether that extra $100 is worth, the ease of use. To me, this was a great device when I was using two PCs. It was great to use because I never had to worry about it. If I had a problem, I almost always knew how to fix it. When it was me, either changing a profile or changing a routing table, all I had to do was just go back, select the routing table, and everything went back to normal. Let's recap the dislikes after all the pluses that I've mentioned. So obviously one big one is you can't have different levels for your audio between your headphones and your stream, like systems like the Elgato Wave can. Next is that there's no way to physically tune the audio for the other inputs that you're using. You have the 4 faders, but you have 8 inputs. So if you wanted to change the volume on one of those inputs, you actually have to open the app and then change it yourself. I think they need to make a Stream Deck extension immediately and add this to it, because it's crazy that they don't have this, or add the ability to have a keyboard shortcut and allow us to change the volume on other inputs simply through a key combination or a shortcut key, which leads me to the extension. I think they can do so much more with that extension. Yes, it's a Stream Deck extension, but I don't think TC Helicon is going to put out their own competitor to the Stream Deck. So why not build something that's better for something that exists and is probably one of the most popular streaming devices out there? like I said, if you're not going to do that, then just allow us to have a keyboard shortcut that allows us to change audio that we don't have a fader for. And then finally is cost. So at $250, that just gets you the, the Go XLR Mini. Plus you need to have a microphone, which the XLR microphones are going to be a little more expensive than the USB. So you're looking at $250 for this device. You're looking at between $80 to $100 for the microphone, and then Go XLR cable, which you probably don't have lying around, is another $15 to $20. So all in all, you're looking at over $300, close to $400 for your audio setup. Now, that being said, your audio is probably the most important part of your stream. So whether or not it's worth it to you to put $300 to $400 into your stream, whether you're just starting out or whether you've been doing it for a little while or you've been doing it a long time, it really depends on what you can financially and or want to do. If you've been using Voicemeeter for a couple months and you're just ready to throw it out the window, or if it's working for you, leave it. Or if you want to change it up and get something new for this stream and have a little fun, by all means, this is a great device and I think you'll enjoy it. So I used this for about 18 months. I really enjoyed it. I especially loved the bleep button, and just the ability to make changes on the fly when you're streaming, to change audio and everything like that. But one of my main reasons to switch away from this is just the different audio levels. Currently I am testing the Elgato Wave system, so click the subscribe button to be notified when that comes out. But I am really excited to see what comes in the streaming space for hardware and software in the next 12 months. I'm really excited to see what companies do to compete with the Elgato Wave system and or Go XLR hardware wise. We've seen a couple in the past 6 months, but they haven't really reached that echelon of these two devices. So I'm excited to see what comes out in the next 12 months. We'll see. But that's my thoughts on the Go XLR Mini. Hope you enjoyed. Hit the like button if you did, and I'll see you in the next one.